Spinnaker watches aren't a micro brand, but they're not really big enough, I don't think, to be classed as a major brand. They're somewhere in the middle. I've had a previous experience with Spinnaker, and I found that the watch was almost great, but there was just a few things missing. I've just picked up my second Spinnaker, so let's see if anything's changed. Yes, hello and welcome back, and we're here with the Spinnaker Croft mid-size skeleton automatic Medallion black limited edition. And what a mouthful that is. First of all, a quick apology if I sound a little bit bunged up. I am. There's a touch of man flu going around my work at the moment, and turns out my immune system hasn't quite managed to fight it off, but I'll do my best. This one is a limited edition. At the time of recording, it's still available for purchase for $299 US, but you'll get a discount code on top of that. Even when it does sell out, Spinnaker still sell the Croft mid-size, which is their 40mm Croft. As far as I can tell, it's exactly the same case and bracelet as this one. It's typically they just offer it with an NH35 and a standard dial, rather than a see-through dial and an NH70 on this one. And of course the gold colorway and bezel insert is slightly different, but I think my nitpicks today with this are going to be the same for any of the Croft range, so it's still worthwhile to follow the review even if this model does sell out and you're looking at a future offering. So let's rattle through some specs then. So yeah, it's a 40mm dive watch. It's made of stainless steel, obviously this one with the gold colorway. So typically NH35, this one is an NH70, which is slightly skeletonized, and I mean ever so slightly skeletonized, and there's no date or day function on this. It's a sapphire crystal with a blue AR coating on it. It's a unidirectional dive bezel. It's a 20mm wide bracelet, stainless steel again, fold over buckle, 47mm lug to lug. It's 150 meters water resistant, and Spinnaker give you a 2-year warranty on this. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at the dial, because I think that's the most interesting part of this design, especially on these limited editions. So the gold colorway is the only limited edition that's still in stock, and as you can see, there's applied indices around the dial. You've got a seconds count for the 5, 10, 20, 25, 35, 40 and 50 and 55. The loomed hour and minute hands are finished in a really nice brushed gold, and yeah, it looks quite classy. And then it does say Spinnaker, which is applied in gold at the top, which actually looks very nice, and then automatic, and you've got the 150 meters, 500 feet underneath in red. And it's well color matched. I mean, the red on the text, the water resistance matches the red lollipop on the seconds hand and the red triangle on the top of the bezel. I think this colorway is very coherent, and actually it's been very well designed, which is not something that I can say for every watch in Spinnaker's catalogue. Some of the designs look a little bit clumsy. Yeah, this one definitely works for me. The dial is transparent. Other than the balance wheel, there's not a lot else to see. I would describe it as quite an industrial finish. And how about the case finishing? Well, actually really nicely done on this. So you've got a polished chamfer running down both sides of the case, and then underneath that, a really high quality brushing on both sides of the case, and then the crown has the Spinnaker logo on there, and that's polished as well, and again really nicely finished. I've got to say, the finishing on the head of this watch is really good for the price. Taking a look at the bracelet, so it's a similar shade of gold. I don't think the finishing is quite as good. The end link fit is really nice. So these are 20mm wide, so plenty of options for your strap collection. Clasp on this, you've got a pressed outer, milled inner, and that's got 3 holes of micro adjust. It's push button, and it has the safety latch with the Spinnaker logo engraved in there quite nicely. Looking at the case back, not too much to see if you've looked into the back of an NH movement before, but a nice case back nonetheless, in the sense that they've made the effort with a custom rotor, which adds a little bit more to the watch. And I will say it's got a very nice brushing on the screw down case back. One point to note, when taking a look at the side profile of this, you'll see how that sapphire crystal just sits proud of the bezel and adds a little bit onto the thickness here. What about the bezel action? Well, actually, it's really quite good on this. It's tight, there's barely any play, everything's well aligned, and it's relatively easy to grip because the grip is defined well around the edge of the bezel. And I think the insert looks absolutely fantastic on this, much better on the limited editions than the standard editions. How does it feel on wrist? Well, to be honest, for me, with 17.5cm wrist circumference, it feels fantastic. It's quite light, it's really well balanced, it's super comfortable throughout the day. I love the taper down on the bracelet. I think that helps contribute to a little bit less weight and a little bit more comfort as well. And yeah, actually, it wears nicer than I expected. And how about that weight? Well, I mentioned it was quite light for a stainless steel watch, and there you go, 135 grams, and that's sized up for me with a few links taken out. But still, yeah, I think that's a great weight and something that contributes massively to the comfort. If ever someone asked me why I didn't buy a real full gold watch, nothing to do with the price, just obviously I wanted it to be this light. I don't think Spinnaker regulate these, so luck of the draw, this one's running really well. +3 to +5 seconds a day, great amplitude, low beat error, so can't make any complaints here. Great results. And how about the lume? Well, this one's a little bit disappointing. Not particularly bright, it's just about legible after a night of sleep, but the hands fade quicker than the dial or the bezel, and I think that's poor form on Spinnaker's behalf. Okay, so with complaints, the bracelet is my first complaint. The gold plating looks incredibly thin. I don't think it's going to be long lasting. And the biggest issue with the bracelet is the flex, so as it moves around, each link is rubbing against the next link along. This will really quickly wipe off all of the gold plating. You can already see mine's starting to go on that first link. Second is this press clasp is horrible. It's very cheap, very tinny, and it's got rough edges. And I don't like that for something that's advertised supposedly at $495 US. Now I don't know if anybody paid that or if it's been heavily discounted from the day it launched, but I'm going to judge it at the price that they quote it for as an RRP. At $495 US, this pressed outer is disgracefully finished. Complaint number 3 has to be the lume on the hour and minute hand. There's not enough layers, and the fact that it fades quicker than the dial and the bezel. Again, come on Spinnaker, what's the purpose of a watch? Maybe, tell the time? Final point is the crown threading is rough, and I was critical on this on a watch for less than $100 from AliExpress, so bearing in mind the retail price on this, I think it is rubbish. Absolutely rubbish, and there's been no effort made on the engineering, or, if it's just my watch, on the QC. I don't want this review to seem all negative, because actually this watch does a lot of things right. Primarily, I think the design is fantastic and the finishing on the watch head is actually really good for the price. It's just a few places where Spinnaker, I feel, have taken a shortcut and a cost cut where they didn't need to. It is the only gold watch in my collection, and I don't wear gold particularly often. I'm much more of a fan typically of just regular stainless steel or titanium, but on occasions I do feel like blinging it up a little bit. And this is a great watch for that. It doesn't break the bank, but it still gives me the look that I want. And as I said, it has garnered quite a bit of attention, surprisingly to me, actually, from non-watch people. Anyway, let's wrap this up.
Yes or no, this is your last chance, no beating around the bush.
So where do I stand with Spinnaker? Well, I still think they make a really good product, but the two watches that I've experienced, it's not a great product. But it could be. It doesn't take a lot just to add some finishing touches, a couple more layers of lume, and just tidy up the threading on the crown, for example. These are minor details, and I think as watch enthusiasts, these are things that we pay attention to and things that we care about. And if you get this right on a watch, it means we're probably likely to come back for more. Even though both of my purchases with Spinnaker were made with discount codes and online sales, and therefore I had a heavily discounted price, I still only felt that that was adequate value for money. So if you are going to buy a Spinnaker, I do think you can find something that you'll really enjoy, but absolutely do not pay retail price. Make sure you get a discount code, and make sure you're well aware that it might be a really good watch with a couple of rough edges. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on Spinnaker, your experience with the brand, and yeah, anything else that you'd like to add to the video, or any comments or feedback that you may have. It's been a pleasure as always, and I will look forward to catching you on the next one. Cheers.